in terms of giving you a number on intrinsic value, I don't want to spoil your fun. I mean, you really should work that one out for yourself. Charlie is the expert on intrinsic. Do you have any comment for him, Charlie?
Well, your attitude on that subject reminds me of a famous headmaster who used to address the graduating class every year, and he'd say, he says, 5% of you people are going to end up criminals. And he says, I know exactly who you are. And he said, but I'm not going to tell you because it would deprive your life of a sense of excitement.
At one time or another, I've said everything I know and a good bit more. So I've never felt compelled to do. I really feel that the annual reports are sort of a book on the installment system. Plus, I think very few people write two books, and I have this kind of unwarranted optimism, I guess, that the best is always yet to come, and that there are a lot more interesting things are going to happen. And I would hate to preclude commenting on those. So I think it's going to be a few years, but I may get around to it at some point. But I think maybe it'd be a bad sign if it happened, because it might be that I really thought that what I was writing about was more important than what was going to happen next. Charlie, are you going to write a book?
No, but your comment about why you are unable to write a book reminds me of the Middle Western fellow who left an unfinished manuscript. And he apologized for not finishing his book, which was entitled Famous Middle Western Sons of Bitches. And he said he was always meeting a new one, and therefore he could never finish the book.
As a courtesy, Charlie and I are leaving each other out of the book that we write. I noticed you were from Morganton, North Carolina. We have a business there, Carolina Shoe. We made work boots, and I gave a talk at University of North Carolina some time ago. In fact, I think they have a tape of it still. And afterwards, I'd mentioned in the talk that we had this business in Morganton. And one of the students came up to me afterwards, and there were a number of them, and I shook his hand, and making idle conversation, I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "I'm from Morganton." And I said, "Do you know Carolina Shoe?" And he thought a second. He said, "I don't know her, but I think I know her family." Never forgotten that fellow. I want to thank my daughter, Suze, who does millions of things for me. She does draw the line occasionally. A few years ago, we have a dinner at Garot's the day after the meeting, and we were the whole family was there having dinner. The place was packed, and there was a big line that had formed outside. Be sure not to go to Garot's unless you have a reservation tomorrow, because they're sold out. But the big line had formed, and it started raining cats and dogs. And a waitress came to me. We were eating. Waitress said, "I got to tell you," she said, "that it's raining like crazy outside, and there's a long line, and Michael Eisner is standing out there getting soaked." So I turned to Suze, and Michael and Jane are friends of mine, good friends, and I said to Suze, "Why don't you go out there and help them out before they get drenched?" And she looked at me and said, "I've waited in line at Disneyland." If I personally had a choice between an index fund or Berkshire at present prices, I would rather own Berkshire. But I wouldn't be unhappy if you told me I had to leave all my money in an index fund for the rest of my life. But I like Berkshire better. Charlie?
Well, I like it a lot better, and I'd be very unhappy if I had to own an index fund. My ambitions are larger. I don't think the average return of a skilled investor over the next 50 years is going to be as good after all factors as it was over the last 50 years. So I think reduced expectations are the best defense any investor has. And after that, I think Berkshire's a pretty good bet.
Charlie's big on lowering expectations.
Absolutely. That's the way I got married. My wife lowered her expectations.
And he lived up to them. I always feel terrific, incidentally. That's not news. This is a really minor event, and Charlie will tell you how minor it is.
Well, as a matter of fact, I rather resent all this attention and sympathy Warren is getting. I probably have more prostate cancer than he does.
He's bragging.
I don't know because I don't let them test for it.
He's not kidding.
At any rate, I want the sympathy.
I probably shouldn't tell you this when Charlie is having a little trouble there on those last two words. I get a little worried about Charlie. Don't know whether I should talk about this, but I thought maybe he was losing his hearing, and I didn't want to confront him with it. I mean, we've been pals for a long time, so I went to the doctor and I said, "Doc, I've got this wonderful partner, but I think maybe his hearing is going on him, and I don't want to talk to him about it. I mean, how do you say that to somebody you've known that long? And what should I do?" He says, "Well, you stand across the room, talk to him in a normal course of tone of voice, and let me know what happens." So the next time I was with Charlie, I stood across the room and I said, "Charlie, I think we ought to buy General Motors at 35. Do you agree?" Not a flicker. I go halfway across the room. I said, "Charlie, I think we ought to buy General Motors at 35. Do you agree?" Nothing. Get right next to him, in his ear. "Charlie, I think we ought to buy General Motors at 35. Do you agree?" He said, for the third time, "Yes." So